The president signed into law a huge transfer of wealth from poor and working people to wealthy people. This piece of legislation is the biggest job-killing bill in the history of this country.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's get to Last Week in Southern Labor, the segment that we do every week where we take a look at what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to. This week, from June the 13th to July the 4th, this is a 2-week update, and as such, we're not going to be able to get to everything on the radio, so if you want to get the exhaustive version of Last Week in Southern Labor, then subscribe to the newsletter. That's tvlr.fm. In new union campaigns, 220 workers at International Motors in Huntsville, Alabama, filed a petition to hold a union election with the United Auto Workers, UAW. 11 workers at Wells Fargo in Cartersville, Georgia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Communication Workers of America, CWA. 73 workers at Norfolk Botanical Garden in Norfolk, Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the International Association of Machinists, IAM. 23 workers at Starbucks in Alpharetta, Georgia, filed a petition to hold a union election with Starbucks Workers United, as did 18 more at a location in Beaumont, Texas. 360 workers at Pratt & Whitney Engine Services in Bridgeport, West Virginia, filed a petition to hold a union election with the IAM. In union election results, 18 workers at Skyworks in Decatur, Alabama, voted at 11-4 in favor of unionization with the International Union of Operating Engineers, IUOE, Local 320. 44 workers at the J.B. Speed Art Museum in Louisville, Kentucky, voted 22-2 in favor of unionization with the UAW. 162 workers at Mon Power, a First Energy company in Haywood, West Virginia, voted 84-72 to stick with the Utility Workers Union of America, UWUA, in a decertification election. 15 workers at Starbucks in Tampa, Florida, voted 8-5 in favor of unionization with Starbucks Workers United, as did 21 workers at a location in Fayetteville, North Carolina, voting 12-0. 35 workers at Compass Youth Services in Richmond, Virginia, voted 21-5 in favor of unionization with the Teamsters Local 322. In strikes and bargaining updates, after working under an expired contract for nearly a year, union firefighters, members of the Brevard County Professional Firefighters Union Local 2969 for Brevard County, Florida, declared an impasse and had their contract negotiations heard before a judge. The judge recommended that the county accept the union's proposal, although this recommendation is not binding. If accepted, it would raise wages by at least 10% and up to 26% in the first year. After 3,200 members of the Teamsters Local 577 at Tyson's in Amarillo, Texas, voted by 98% to authorize a strike, management agreed to offer a fair contract, according to the union. The new contract, overwhelmingly ratified by the members, includes a 32% wage increase over 4 years, more paid time off, and expanded retirement benefits. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. 3,200 members of the IAM District Council 837 at Boeing in St. Louis, Missouri, began contract negotiations last week. The contract is set to expire on July 27th, 2025. Workers at Genesis, who recently unionized with Teamsters Local 322 in Virginia, are voting on whether or not to authorize a strike as contract negotiations heat up. Workers at H&M in Melbourne, Florida, who unionized with the United Food and Commercial Workers, UFCW Local 1625 last year, just voted to ratify their first union contract. The union says the new contract includes annual wage increases, weekly hour guarantees, and more. The Teamsters say that the United Parcel Service, UPS, is expected to unveil a plan later this month to buy out full-time Teamster employees that the union says violates their national contract. The union has also filed information requests on the status of delivery of trucks with AC and on the promised job creation from the last contract. The Teamsters encourages their members to attend a webinar that is going to be happening on Monday to learn about the status of these items. Nurses at the University Medical Center in New Orleans, Louisiana, represented by National Nurses United, voted to authorize another 2-day strike against the hospital to protest the hospital's retaliation against union members. The strike will take place on July 15th. In political and legislative updates, Congress passed and the president signed into law a huge transfer of wealth from poor and working people to wealthy people in the form of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Unions were almost unanimously opposed. North America's building trades unions, NABTU, a typically much more politically conservative federation of blue-collar trade unions, said in a statement that this piece of legislation is the biggest job-killing bill in the history of this country, the equivalent of terminating more than 1,000 Keystone XL pipeline projects, threatening an estimated 1.75 million construction jobs and over 3 billion work hours, which translates to $148 billion in lost annual wages and benefits. The AFL-CIO slammed the legislation as a billionaire giveaway. The Machinists Union noted that rail workers were excluded from the overtime tax cut and said that the bill as a whole is a blatant attack on working families. The International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, IATSE, noted that they and others were able to get the AI regulation ban removed, but still condemned the legislation as a betrayal. The UAW said that anyone who claims to stand with workers should see this bill for what it is, a disaster. The Labor Department ended several protections for workers last week, including eliminating overtime and minimum wage protections for home health care workers and union organizing rights for migrant farm workers, according to the Washington Post. The Orlando Weekly also points out that OSHA is seeking to roll back protections for entertainment workers. The U.S. House held a hearing last week where Republicans and their witnesses attempted to make the case for privatization of the Postal Service. If we missed anything, let us know about your union updates at tvlr.fm/contact. We'd love to be able to include it, especially, some of the smaller local wins that unions get every single week. Unions winning grievances, getting people their jobs back, stuff like that. Would love to be able to highlight more of those. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.